Patterson's more of a return guy or a jet sweep guy. I mean, Danny Amendola's gone. Heck, you look at, you have 2 wide receivers that they signed in the offseason that are already gone, already cut. Could I hypothesize that it's Tom Brady's frustration over how could I play with incompetent people? Maybe. Could I say it's training camp frustration, too many days with the same guys, too many days in the humidity? Probably. By the way, I like Braxton Berrios. I think he's going to be dynamic, third down weapon. He just seems like that guy who the Patriots are going to find a way to use him. And then they have 2 really good running backs, especially adding Sony Michel to already having a good pass-catching threat back there. But I think the big part we're missing in all of this discussion is nobody used to care. No one used to care about your numbers, what you threw on 11-on-11 drills, right? Like Pat Mahomes, what was it? He threw 4 picks in drills going back yesterday with the Kansas City Chiefs. Go back 10 years ago. Did anybody track how many interceptions Brett Favre had in training camp? In Peyton Manning's first training camp as a starter or second training camp? No. The whole idea of analytics, okay, the whole idea of analytics is tracking everything. But what started as tracking everything in the regular season now tracks everything in practice in the preseason. I remember my first year at Notre Dame, played for a guy named John McLeod, longtime legendary NBA coach, coached the Phoenix Suns in the 4 overtime game against the Boston Celtics. And he used to track everything even to the detriment of how many shots you get up. You could not take a shot in that gym without somebody statting how many shots and how many you made from what spot. And the idea was a good one because it was, hey, how are you going to know where you shoot the ball best from or if you're improving if you don't have the stats? The problem with it then was if you have one manager, he would have to stat you. He couldn't just feed you. You'd be far less productive. Nowadays, they actually have technology to which you don't have to do anything. They have tracking devices within the arena that track every shot that you take in every gym that you practice in, regardless of if there's somebody in there, not in there with you. The point is that not only do we have information overload. This is the era in which we live, where we actually know too much. The fact that we know that Tom Brady threw a hissy fit and punted the ball into the stands, that he had 10 drops yesterday, 3 from Eric Decker. We never would have heard that 10 years ago. But that's because we track everything now. You go up to order at Chipotle, and you know how many calories there are in any possible combination of a meal. Heck, I remember when I got my first cell phone, 2000, or 99, 2000, senior year in college. Got one of those Nokia jobs, like little handheld Nokia things. And I remember it was like, I don't know, $29.99 for 500 minutes a month. And you're like, 500 minutes? No problem. I'll never go over 500 minutes. Then you get your first bill, and you had like 1,500 minutes. Because you had no real concept of, 1 second becomes a minute, right? And how many times you actually use the phone. You just didn't. Like, I thought this is really cool. I'll never use it. I'll accept incoming calls, and I'll play that snake game on it. Remember the snake game? Turns out you start tracking your cell phone calls, and you can't believe how many calls you make. This is before you even texted. We track everything. We even track thanks to the Fitbit, how many steps. And the problem with tracking how many steps, you're like, man, I took 10,000 steps. Is that good or bad? I have no idea. I took 10,000 steps. Well, 5 years ago, how many steps did you take? No idea. I didn't track them then. How about likes and retweets? Right? Imagine yourself 20 years ago, and you think of a really funny line, right? You think of a really, really funny line. And the only way in which you would know if it was funny is if you're around your buddies and you'd like, hey, for example, we used something we saw on Twitter yesterday in regards to Tiger Woods. right? Congratulations, Tiger Woods wins the PGA Championship, shooting 14 under. And Brooks Koepka finishes second, shooting 16 under, right? That sounds funny. And the way in which you know it's funny now is we track the likes and the retweets. Whereas 20 years ago, you would have had to walk around to people and go, hey, Tiger Woods won the PGA, Brooks Koepka second. Huh? And if somebody would laugh, you're like, we track everything nowadays. Everything we possibly have. And so I would love to freak out and say Tom Brady's not happy. He's still bitter about Malcolm Butler. He doesn't have good wide receivers. You know, that Eric Decker stinks. He's not going to be good enough. He punts the ball in the stands. That means that Decker's out. The problem is I have no control group. I don't know if Brady has punted the ball and thrown a fit for any of the last 18 years in which he's been in camp with the New England Patriots. Because we didn't track it then. We didn't care then. We didn't have how many interceptions, how many touchdowns, what were his 11-on-11 numbers in shells in training camp. And so instead of freaking out over Aaron Rodgers laying into his wide receivers or Tom Brady punting the football, we have to realize that we are in a completely different era of information overload in that we cover spring football games. We cover training camps. We also, like Hard Knocks is tonight, we're going to talk about that later. We have shows that show us the insides of training camps. We never had that. I mean, imagine going to see Hamilton being constructed, right? Who's got the third lead and watching them butcher lines early on before they're ready to be on Broadway. Before it was an multi-Tony award-winning musical. Before that, imagine going and seeing them first select who's on the cast and then go through rehearsals. It would have been brutal. That's what we're doing. That's what we're evaluating. We have too much information. We have too many shows that focus too much on the details of how the sausage is made, and we shouldn't really care. Let me know on the first Sunday. If Tom Brady throws a hissy fit because his wide receivers keep throwing the football, now I can draw back on, hey, you know what? He wasn't all that happy with that wide receiving core going back to training camp. In fact, it reached ahead on August, 13th, 2018. He got really mad, and that's when they got rid of Eric Decker. We just track everything nowadays, from calories to steps to likes and retweets. To mentions, to even track how many friends we have. You can go on your Facebook and I got this many friends. Or how many followers you have. Track that. Well, I tweeted something stupid today. I lost 1,000 followers. I lost 1,000 people who care about what I'm saying, about what I'm tweeting. I'm not saying to not pay attention to Tom Brady or to training camp or to any of these training camp fights, but without context, without a control group, it kind of becomes useless information or information to which we can't really decipher because we don't actually know what we're looking at. I wonder whether Joe Montana ever got upset at the wide receivers not named Jerry Rice. We don't know. We'll never know. And frankly, we didn't care then. Somehow we care now. So I'm not telling you to completely give up to the point of just don't care at all about training camp, but I'm pushed more to that side than to the freaking out because the Patriots can't seem to catch the football in an 11-on-11 scrimmage. Joy, am I wrong? Am I taking this information? Am I poo-pooing too much of this information which we have?
No, I mean, there's an oversaturation of media in general. So we cover everything because there's so many outlets that need content. So yes, Brady punting a ball is a big deal when in reality it doesn't mean anything. To me, I just want my team to get through training camp healthy. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
Day to day, this person had a good camp, this one didn't. There's so many factors in why someone would have a good day at training camp or not. I put zero weight in whether Brady is having a bad camp with his receivers.
Yeah. Speaking of which, there's a. That's a great point. There's a narrative coming out of Pittsburgh, which I find to be fascinating. It almost feels like it's a perfectly timed out and placed narrative. Big Ben's in his 15th season. 15th. And he's loving life. Never felt better. I'll tell you why that feels less than organic, a little bit plastic. That upcoming next. I'm Doug Gottlieb. She's Joy Taylor. This is The Herd.
Experience the versatility of utility at the Lexus Golden Opportunity Sales Event.
Lease the 2018 RX 350 and RX 350 all-wheel drive for these terms.
Experience amazing at your Lexus dealer.
Your hair is so soft. Did you use Head & Shoulders 2-in-1?
I did, Mom. Want to try it?
Yes.
It intensely moisturizes your hair and scalp and keeps you flake-free.
Manolo, look at my soft hair. I should be in the shot now, too. Try Head & Shoulders 2-in-1.
This summer at Dave & Buster's, Halo Fire Team Raven will have your squad experiencing Halo like never before.
Seriously?
Get unlimited video gameplay for the day when you ask for the $25 Superpower card only at Dave & Buster's.
Every day brings something new. So much to look forward to. Nationwide is on your side.
I just moved to a big city, and finding a new OBGYN felt big. But ZocDoc makes it easy. I just add my location, and boom, a list of doctors with reviews. ZocDoc made a big deal, not a big deal. Download ZocDoc today.
Could this party get any better?
Dr. Pepper Cherry a cherry treat.
What? I'm a horse. I like carrots.
This party did get better.
Dr. Pepper Cherry, cherry on!
Saturday on FS1. They are two of baseball's most prolific hitters.
Ramirez once again delivers.
Powering the Tribe to a commanding division lead. Now, they look to outslug Adam Jones and the Orioles. Then, the Brewers' fight for the NL Central continues when they take on Yadier Molina and the division rival Cardinals. Saturday at 3 Eastern, noon Pacific on FS1. Also available on Fox Deportes.
I've been making blades here at Gillette for 20 years. There's a lot of innovation that goes into making America's #1 shave. Precision machinery and high-quality materials from around the world. Nobody else even comes close. Now starting at $7.99. Gillette, the best a man can get.
When you carry out large 3-topping pizzas from Domino's for $7.99 each, you don't want bad roads ruining your good pizza. So we're doing something about them. If your drive home is rough on pizza, submit it at havenforpizza.com and we might fix it.
We design it, source it, craft it, and tailor it, which is the only way we'll put our name on it. The highest quality from stitch to store. That's the Bank way.
Farm fresh ingredients, step-by-step recipes, delivered to your door for as low as $7.49 a meal. Visit BlueApron.com to get $40 off.
Michigan's got a battle with Sparty, but they better not overlook Maryland, or they'll get tripped up like Texas, who's got a revenge game against USC before their Red River Showdown with the Sooners, where they hope to pull another Ohio State, who finishes with their arch nemesis, Michigan.
It can't be worse than last year.
Yes, I do think it could. It couldn't be worse in terms of the number of wins or losses, right? But they were trying to be bad. This year, they're clearly trying to be good.
The only difference between this year and last year is they have expectations this year.
That's a huge part of it, and you have the personalities of your coordinators. You have a head coach. You have a new GM that wasn't hired, that didn't hire the head coach. You got two coordinators, one who's been a head coach that obviously wants to be a head coach again. Like, you got a lot of stuff. You have the number one pick, who we can say a first-round pick as a quarterback needs to play, but a number one pick always plays in the last 15 years in the NFL. Like, I do think, and the expectations are real because they have added some real players. A Jarvis Landry, for example.
Hard Knocks. Like,
yes.
There really shouldn't be any expectations on the Browns in reality, because even though they have added pieces like Jarvis Landry and they did draft Baker Mayfield, they still won 0 games last year. So
listen, they won.
There should be really no expectations in the Browns this year.
There should be, but hope springs eternal. I think Pittsburgh's different without Shazier. I think, people think that whatever they think of, whatever the reality of Baltimore is, Baltimore should have been in the playoffs last year as poorly as Flacco performed. Baltimore feels like they're better, but I don't think anybody thinks that Baltimore's like they were a couple of years ago, right? And Cincinnati has been kind of a smoldering dumpster fire to which they're like, yeah, we'll keep throwing Marvin Lewis out there because it was injuries. It was this, it was that, that went wrong. The division, which used to be the best division in football, with the exception of the Browns, is now a division of, hey, they all used to be really good and they're kind of trying to figure out what they are now. I think that's part of it. But think if they add Dez Bryant, right? I mean,
I told you this yesterday. You pushed back on me. You said the Rams were more interesting.
I think it's because the Rams are better in their Super Bowl aspirations and because they're in LA. I think Seattle's super interesting with, the Earl Thomas thing. Russell Wilson, does he have anybody to block for him? Seattle's been a dominant team in this league for the past 6-7 years or so. Like, I think those teams are better and have a better reputation, but there are big expectations. And then you bring in the fire personalities, and then you're seeing Pittsburgh going like, man, things are so much better around here. What did you change? One thing. Why am I saying Gredd Williams? Todd Haley's not here. I think it's fascinating. I'm not willing to say they're the most interesting, but it's potentially, like, there's Tinder all around. And all it takes is a Dez Bryant, a fight over who should be the quarterback, to suddenly put that thing up in smoke, and it becomes really interesting. All right. So I'm going to give you a lot more credit for that take than I should have yesterday. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right. So